And here we all thought LisaRaye was bad. Shit. Hi guys, Dream Lady Girl from Around the Way. We have culture, conversation, and community. And in today's video, I am reviewing Iyanla Fix My Life. I think this is episode 5 or 6. Don't really remember, but it's the LisaRaye one, y'all, and it gets deep. So without talking your head off a lot, because y'all know I can, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. First and foremost, everybody looked great. I mean, LisaRaye and her crew is a really, really beautiful set of women, up to the mama, down to the daughter, and probably her little princess or princess in the making, whatever they were calling Kai's daughter. Iyanla looked good. LisaRaye came in her all white as usual. If you don't know anything about LisaRaye, she has infamously worn all white for like the past 10 years, so she never disappoints. So Iyanla's opening exercise is really simple. That all of the ladies are supposed to choose a role that fits them, and they all, you know, chose an appropriate role, which is no surprise. They have LisaRaye's mom, Katie, LisaRaye obviously, and her daughter Kai. So Mama Katie chose Queen Mother because she feels like she's the head of the family, or at least is trying to be. But I could tell right off bat, like, grandma is with the shits. She gives me very much old church lady who hushes you every time that you even blink or cough too hard. Grandmama's not any joke. She's nothing to play with, obviously. She comes off with a big energy off the rip. She does let us know that once LisaRaye made it to LA, you know, Grandma Katie felt like you didn't need me anymore. And she's very upset by that. Grandma has a really hard exterior, but underneath that I get a really a serious sense of just like loneliness, and maybe even like she's afraid, because you know how it is when you're getting older and you have an estranged relationship with your only child. I can only imagine. So yeah, grandma is scared, but she's hard. She's hard as rocks. When LisaRaye heard her mother talk about her going to LA, she immediately becomes emotional, which lead me to believe that she's there to really kind of do the work. That, or she's really kind of just hurt by the relationship, or a strange relationship that she has with her mother for all of these years. And the mom pretty much just reiterate what I said earlier. She's older, she's scared because LisaRaye is her only child, and their relationship is very much trash. And Iyanla pretty much just tell LisaRaye, like, it's the queen's position to make sure that Queen Mother is okay. Like, what's up, sis? You're not handling your business. Like, what's tea? LisaRaye says, you know, I'm just spread so thin. I come in from a premiere. I gotta go home and do the dishes. She like, wait a minute. What? Y'all all under the same roof? They quickly, you know, clear up the record and says, well, you know, Miss Katie got sick and she was, you know, out to wherever they live for Kai's daughter birthday party, and that's when COVID hit. So ever since COVID, they've all been living under one roof. And mama makes it very clear, oh no, because I had my own castle. And if you're a person like me, I pay attention to details, y'all. And she said, I had my own castle. So I'm like, okay, sis, well, do you still have it, or you had it? Like, well, which one is it? Because, you know, I can see LisaRaye kind of like, you know, subleasing that little apartment she had down there in Chicago, and, you know, trying to keep them little coins open, keep that lease open for her once the COVID ends, so she can send mama back. I really don't know, but catch that. Anyways, LisaRaye makes it be known that y'all in my house, and when y'all living in my house, y'all gonna do what I want y'all to do. But the mom seems to write that off as being Hollywood. Mom also reveals that they were together at one point when she was probably getting into acting, but when things took off, you know, she kind of felt casted out. Iyanla then talks to LisaRaye and asks her how she feels about Kai, which is a beautiful name, by the way. And she's a beautiful girl. And LisaRaye pretty much just says, oh, well, she's lazy. And honestly, y'all, I cannot make this up. Kai is just shaking her head like, yup, I am lazy. Like, girl, my good sis, it has no shame in her game. She's like, yup, I'm very much lazy. I'm like, that was very, very cringe. Kai then admits that, you know, she is lazy. Girl, I hate to see it. And she also says that she understands that she's not queen status. She likes the financial success that her mom has, obviously, who wouldn't? but she doesn't want that career. Iyanla lets them know that they're all interconnected, and a breakdown within them is typically a breakdown within. And I'm like, girl, a word. Like, I love Iyanla. And one thing about it, Miss Iyanla is always coming. She's always going to give you a good gospel, a good hymnal that, you know, just hits you where it's supposed to. And one thing I can say for certain, she is not the one, she's the two.
I'm not the one, I'm the two. Yeah.
Then Mama Katie just talks about how she was never the head, because Iyanla was talking about how, you know, she's the head of all this. And she's like, well, I've never been the head of anything in my life. And I'm like, ooh, my heart, you know what I mean? Honest, very vulnerable. But it's just hard to admit that, and then being so, you know, mature at this point in your life and having that realization, I'm sure causes some issues, some internal conflict. But then grandma gets upset. I mean, like, grandma turns up. She goes to 0 to 100. And she was like, well, I was ahead of something until I got with your father, until your father. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, she is very upset about this father. But it's her baby father. That's what's killing me. And it doesn't stop there. So grandma Katie is fired up. And she's like, I just don't see how you couldn't see my perspective. And I told you that Negro was a, and and Iyanla's just looking like Queen Mother, Queen Mother, Queen Mother. And another thing, I told that nigga, I'm like, yep, Queen Mother, Queen Mother. It was crazy. Iyanla shows up in that moment, never missing the opportunity to check. Sorry, no, let me not. Let me not even play with it. She shows up and she never misses an opportunity to teach, because that's what it's really about. Although it's funny, this episode cracked me up. I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. Not gonna lie about it. This episode was like hilarious, because like the grandmom is like off the hook. Y'all gotta, it's crazy. But Iyanla pretty much says what everybody was thinking. You can't be mad at the daughter for having a relationship with her father. You chose that man. Okay, you chose him to be, you know, a person who you have children with. So you can't be mad at LisaRaye for having a relationship with her father, because your relationship with him as a man was jacked up. That's not right. But Mama Katie ain't trying to hear it. She's shaking her head, girl. She got her on her synthetic wig. She like, nope, I don't like it. I'm like, yo, okay. So Iyanla takes Kai and LisaRaye to do their exercise, and they're supposed to be picking up jewels or crowns that they jewels in their crowns that they are solid with. I'm like, okay, Iyanla, keeping on brand with the, you know, Queen Mother, Queeness, and Princess. So they had little, you know, diamond-shaped or jewel-shaped attributes with things written on it for them to choose. So Queen Mother is presented with an exercise similar. She's supposed to pick out all of the jewels and cracks in their crown. So they have on a table like a whole bunch of, you know, representations of, you know, jewels that are in their crowns that are cracked. And Mama like, well, we might as well take the whole table. I'm like, whew, girl, she is a firecracker. So Iyanla comes back and she creeps up on us, and she changed her clothes. The reason why she changed her clothes was because she felt like they maybe wasn't getting it. Like, y'all need to understand who you are with and why you are here. And in that moment, it made me think about why representation and how you physically appear to people, or just perception, is so important, right? And you know, Iyanla gave very much Yoruba priestess. Okay, she gave me very much healer vibes, and she had to let them know, like, listen, y'all are talking to me. I don't want y'all to play into the cameras. I don't want this to get out of control, because you right now, y'all need this help. So in order to reset the tone, she hit us off with the good old wade in the water. I'm like, whoa, she bringing it back, girl. She needed the wade in the water from Miss Katie, Miss LisaRaye, and Miss Kai. Girl. What's so funny is the daughter started crying. She's like, what is that emotion you're invoking? I'm like, girl, that's that wade in the water. You know how them old church songs will kind of bring you back? That was funny. Kai didn't really even have any stable stones for herself, which is very telling. Like, girl, you couldn't have any stable, you don't have no stable stones. But she did say she needs to work on her heart, because she's very nonchalant. And Iyanla presented the question of, are you nonchalant or are you numb? Which is brilliant. LisaRaye starts off by saying, oh, my heart is too big. I have too much compassion. I spread myself too thin. Mama like, and I just, you know, I give to people, and I just, Mama, I'm like, girl, the animosity between them is for real.
A lot of compassion.
Okay.
I always put myself in somebody else's shoes. I always want to feel like, what does that feel like to allow me?
They beefing. So Queen Mother was supposed to present the cracks to both of them, and for both of them, she gave them anger. And I think it's really telling and important for this piece right here, because she said, oh, I just stay in my room all day because anytime I come out, I don't feel like fighting with either one of them. They both jump on my case. So I just sit in the room and I look at the walls. And y'all need to be very careful, because older people who are in compromising or vulnerable positions often can be marginalized. They can be overlooked. And then sometimes mental health issues like depression can come on. So hearing that, me being who I am and what I do as a profession, hear those keywords like, there might be some bigger underlying mental health issues going on there with mom. Switching gears, the one that she gave for the crack in the crown was in gratitude for LisaRaye, and mama goes off again. Kai's just sitting there looking scared. LisaRaye is all emotional. And Iyanla says she wants to do a one-on-one. I'm like, girl, they should have been done that. So Iyanla pulls her to the side and she got, props her feet up. She lets her know that, listen, you're my elder and I don't want for any second for you to think that I'm disrespecting you or, just making you feel any kind of way. And she's like, oh, no, no, I don't feel that way about you. And I'm like, listen, one thing about it, mama is really from Chicago, old school Chicago at that, okay? So anyway, we get a little bit of backstory about Miss Katie. So she's from Mississippi, and if child you ever been in Mississippi, whew, she said she left Mississippi because she was so tired of picking that cotton. And I was like, girl, I felt that my spirit. She did say she was the provider for everybody. She was the 7th child. Her mother had 13 or 14 children, and then she moved to Chicago looking for something better because she was tired of picking the cotton. And she met up with LisaRaye's father, got pregnant, and he beat her. He bit me like a dog all through the night, all through the damn night, because she got a country accent. This is my country accent, y'all. Give a thumbs up for my country accent. I do declare. Okay. If y'all don't know, that's a Office reference, okay? Listen. But the reason why she stayed with her abuser was because she wanted LisaRaye to have everything that she didn't. And she felt like she sacrificed. She's literally sacrificed her physical well-being, her mental well-being, her spiritual well-being. This is not anything that she said, but for a woman to endure physical abuse because her child is in a better financial position, that is not just a physical sacrifice. That's multi-layered. Iyanla is sitting there watching her, just listening to her, because the story is common. And it's sad. Although it's common, it's very sad. I didn't mean to come off that way. And in the process, she said, yeah, and even when her father died, she never once asked me, well, how did daddy die make you feel or anything like that. And Iyanla had to stop her. Listen, I love you, but it's not her place to ask you that. She was too busy dealing with the loss of her father. She's not to come to you and ask you how you feel about your husband dying. You get what I'm saying? Like, those boundaries were not in place. And not only the boundaries, the expectations are rooted in the fact that they have such terrible boundaries and such a terrible relationship. Then Iyanla asks, well, how did he die? And she's like, his girlfriend shot him. Girl, she said that so mad and so assuredly, like, girl, yes. And she had the nerve to get shot by the girl he was cheating with. The mom is a trip, y'all. Iyanla points out that she said, you made sacrifices so that your daughter could have more, but you blame her and guilt her and shame her for the very same reason you said that you stayed with him. Which, whew, that resentment is a mug. But even after getting checked about her having the sacrifices, the mom says something so terrible. She said, because if I could go back, I wouldn't do it. And I, at that moment, said, this is an old lady at the barbecue that one of these young girls are probably trying to fight, because she got that silver tongue, baby. Let me tell you, she'll say something, a dagger in the heart. She said, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do it. I can only imagine some of the stuff she ever said to LisaRaye, or even just some of their arguments, girl, because mama is a sharp shooter. There's no other way to put it. Mama's mean as hell. And she's quick on her feet, goddamn it. She's very witty. I've had to put her mama in a home or something. She probably on her way to a home. That's what she afraid of. I know she be in there handing them girls. It's for real. But anyway, Iyanla gives her some cracks in her crowns. Inaccountability. That's first and foremost. Entitlement, that's another one. And then another one that she wrote, she got a an ad-lib, and that's bitter, which in my case should have been number one. She has a lot of resentment to this woman. Kai pretty much reveals that she doesn't want to end up like, her mom and LisaRaye, or her grandmom and LisaRaye rather. And she knows that, her heart space is not really right. She's very numb. I do a couple of breathing exercises. I'm not going to spend too much time on Kai because she's really just not in the mental space or the head space to really kind of just do that work. For her to be 30 years old, she's very, very undeveloped when it comes to like just awareness. And I think, well, yeah, Iyanla even mentioned and pointed that out to her and said that, LisaRaye has a part in that. But I also think that accountability at some point needs to come into place, but that's just my personal opinion, and y'all came here for a review, so let me just nip it right there. Anyways, Kai ended up being sent to disciplinary school because she was cutting class and being a teenager, and LisaRaye ain't have time for it. I feel like LisaRaye was probably, zipping and zooing in. She felt like, girl, let me go send this child over to Iowa so she can get out of my way so I can secure this bag. Now, if I'm wrong for saying that, I'm wrong, but that's just the vibe I get. Because all teenage girls give lip and stuff like that. And she had her daughter in the school with girls that was on crystal meth and prostituting. Like she said, she didn't belong there. One of the things that came from that conversation, though, was because she said sometimes Iyanla mentioned to Kai that you got to fall flat on your face. And Kai said, no, I can never fall flat on my face. And she said, girl, you had to. And that's very true. I want to take a moment to talk about that. Sometimes you have to let it all crumble so it can build back up. And that's just plain and simple. Do not be afraid to fall on your back pockets ever, because when you come back stronger. Sometimes you need to start over with a new foundation. That's all. So in the next scene, we have LisaRaye and Iyanla meeting, and they pretty much just say, Iyanla asked her, do you know that your daughter is so broken? She said, well, I do know that my daughter is depressed and a little immature, but I was immature at that age because I had everything that I wanted, much like my daughter has everything that she wants, and I turned out okay, so I feel like she's gonna turn out okay. And I'm like, girl. Anyway, she reverts back to telling stories about how her father, spoiled her. Daddy, they having pizza at lunch for school. I want chicken. It's done. Like, you know what I mean? So they go into that whole dad-daughter dynamic. She also mentioned that when he died, how they say when you lose somebody, another life comes in to replace that one. And she felt like she could have to rise to the occasion with Kai. But, sometimes things fall by the wayside. Iyanla points out that she's controlling and, pretty much damaged Kai's self-awareness. Iyanla points out, like, are you really unaware of the competition between your mom and your dad, between your mom and yourself, for your dad? She's like, well, I wouldn't say competing. And Iyanla corrects her, well, maybe you weren't competing, but you were the object that they were competing with, right? And she's kind of like, yeah, maybe. Girl, that's as clear as day. She knew, she had to know in her 17-year-old, 18, 16-year-old mind that some of the stuff that she was doing was not okay. And I remember watching LisaRaye's on Unsung, and she was talking about how her mom used to ask LisaRaye to ask her dad for money because they were just at odds, and the dad would tell the mom no, but go ahead and give LisaRaye the money. That's wrong on all levels. She had to know that was wrong. Anyways, Iyanla comes to the realization that it took her 5 hours to realize they were all dealing with the same person. So she brings them all back together. In this last exercise, she gives them 2 cards, yes and no, because they always like to have a story and a song and a dance that go to it. And sometimes you gotta just, don't put too many words on things, and this is the perfect exercise, yes or no. So before they popped it off, she said, is there anything that you guys have discovered, maybe want to discuss? And Miss Katie very girlishly says, well, I may be a little wrong about some of the things. I'm like, girl, no, I need that same big energy when you was going crazy and telling everybody off. So when you coming with the maybe and the apologizes, you like this. See, that's what I don't like. Don't do that. But one of the things that Mama did say was she admitted that she doesn't really know herself, and I don't care how long it takes to become aware. It's so important to really just be in tune, and you can always turn around and change your life. Then LisaRaye tries to give some little bubblegum excuse. Well, I was just maybe taking advantage of the love he had for me. Talking about her father, of course. And Iyanla cuts her off, and I'm so glad she did, because she really needs to cut the crap. She said your father was dishonest, and he was manipulative. And I'm sure that's hard to hear from a daddy's girl who, her father has been gone for many, many years. And if you follow anything about LisaRaye, anytime she mentions her father, she tears up to this day. So it's hard to hear, and I'm really proud of the way that she accepted the feedback and the criticisms from Iyanla. One of the things that she said was, your father kept you out of your throne, meaning he tainted how you felt about your insides, or your intuition is kind of my interpretation of it. And so many people do that. Men and women can try to get you away from listening to yourself and moving you away from yourself with their manipulative and sneaky, harmful ways. Even the people that you love and care about, and they love and care about you. For real, be careful of that. So they popped the exercise off, and then Iyanla asked Miss Katie, did you take LisaRaye around with you to go catch your cheating husband? And she said yes. And she said, are you aware that is emotional abuse? And she said no. Katie goes off on another tangent. Again, I will reiterate, boundaries. The relationship that you have with a person you have children with has nothing to do with the child. Okay, we see that so often. The baby mom is mad at the baby dad. Now the kids can't go over for the weekend. Why? Get that man his kids. His relationship with you ain't got nothing to do with them children. Period. I hate to see it. LisaRaye finally comes to the realization that, her father put her in a position as his woman, as his other woman at that. And it marginalized and put her in direct competition with her mother. No wonder they have an estranged relationship. And then what would be so frustrating to me is, now as a woman, you can understand and realize, if Kai's father was doing that to you, how you would feel. You get what I'm saying? I don't think it should not have taken all that much, because you're young, you're 17, 18, you're going to do what you want to do. But as a grown woman now, a queen now, you should know that those boundaries were off. The lines were blurry. The thing that LisaRaye and her father have in common is that they both are controlling and manipulative. They're controlling with the money, and she's doing the same thing with her daughter. At the end of the episode, the mom wasn't really giving LisaRaye the eye contact that she wanted, and Iyanla was like, no, well, maybe she's just processing. I definitely feel the episode needed to be longer. A few criticisms. This needed to be a 2-part episode, period. I do think that they all need individual counseling outside of this. Mom, especially Mom and LisaRaye, they really need to sit down. And I think that so often we focus on absent father relationships and the effect that they have on children, but nobody wants to have the conversation about toxic relationships between mom and daughters. So this episode was really, really good. I think that as celebrities, which I feel like Iyanla should shy away from having any more celebrities on her show, they showed up to do the work within reason. And I do think that Iyanla spent a lot of time off camera with them. I think it was edited great. To make them still have some dignity about them. But I do think that, a lot was said behind cameras, which I'm okay with, as long as these people are getting the help that they need. Always, always, always a pleasure. I love to watch Iyanla Fix My Life, y'all. If y'all don't even know, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Subscribe and share if you care. Let YouTube know it's for real. As always, I'm sending you much love and much light, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.